Starting. Okay, there we go. Good morning, everybody. And welcome to this week 9. We are expecting and hoping for Heather and Gary to show up. And they haven't popped in yet. But at any rate, this week we are starting off with Leviticus 14, chapter 14, verse 1 through chapter 15, 33. And then we're going to go to 2 Kings chapter 7, verses 3 through 20. And then Mark chapter 1, verses 35 through 45. And we do have, though, a special in-house reader that traveled all the way from North America to Canada. Oh, wait, that doesn't make sense. We have a special guest reader this morning who's going to kick us off, though, with the beginning of Leviticus. Is that correct, Gwen?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Gwen. There you are.
Guten Morgen, family. So my youngest wants to read a little bit. So she's going to read the first 6 verses. So are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
I think everybody else is too.
I don't. Okay.
Leviticus chapter 14. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, This shall be the Torah of the leper for the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall look and see if leprosy is healed in the leper. Then the priest shall command, and he shall take for him who is to be cleansed 2 live and clean birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command, and he shall say, Slay one of the birds in the earthen vessel over running water. Let him take the live bird and the cedar wood and the scarlet and hyssop, and dip them and the live bird in the blood of the bird that was slain over the running water.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I'll just keep reading.
Okay.
And he shall sprinkle it 7 times on him who is to be cleansed from the leprosy, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the live bird loose in the open field. And he who is to be cleansed shall wash his garment, and shall shave off all his hair, and wash himself in water, and shall be clean. Then, after he comes into the camp, but shall stay outside his tent 7 days. And on the 7th day it shall be that he shaves all the hair off his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows, even all his hair he shaves off. And he shall wash his garments, and wash his body in water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he takes 2 male lambs, perfect ones, and 1 ewe lamb a year old, a perfect one, and 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. And the priest who is cleansing shall present the man who is to be cleansed with these offerings before Yahuwah at the door of the tent of appointment. And the priest shall take 1 male lamb and bring it as a guilt offering and the log of oil, and wave them as a wave offering before Yahuwah. And he shall slay the lamb in the place where he slays the sin offering and the ascending offering, and the set apart place where the guilt offering, like the sin offering, belongs to the priest. It is most set apart. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, and the priest shall put it on the tip of his right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil and pour it into the palm of his hand, in the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle some of the oil with his finger 7 times before Yahuwah. And the rest of the oil on his hand, the priest puts some on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed. And the priest shall make atonement for him before Yahuwah. And the priest shall make a sin offering and make atonement for him who is to be cleansed from his uncleanness. Then, afterwards, he slays the ascending offering, and the priest shall offer the ascending offering and the grain offering on the slaughtering place. On the slaughtering place. Sorry, I lost my spot. Sorry, can you hang on just a second? Someone's come to my door. I apologize.
Okay. At any rate, I believe she's reading from the Scriptures version, although I could be wrong, for those of you who are wondering.
My apologies. We had some Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door. My youngest was trying to rescue me. Okay, so what verse was I on? I lost, was it 18 or 19? Priest shall make a sin offering. Okay. And the priest shall make a sin offering and make atonement for him who is to be cleansed from his uncleanness. Then afterwards he slays the ascending offering. And the priest shall offer the ascending offering and the grain offering on the slaughtering place. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. But if he is poor and is unable to afford it, then he shall take 1 male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved, to make atonement for him, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as the grain offering, and a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to afford, and 1 shall be a sin offering, and the other an ascending offering. And he shall bring them to the priest on the 8th day for his cleansing, to be the door of the tent of appointment before Yahuwah. And the priest shall take the lamb of the guilt offering and the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them as a wave offering before Yahuwah. And he shall slay the lamb of the guilt offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And then the priest pours some of the oil into the palm of his own left hand, and the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before Yahuwah. And the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the place of the blood, on the place of the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed, to make atonement for him before Yahuwah. And he shall prepare one of the turkeys or young pigeons, such as he is able to afford, that which he is able to afford, the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering, with the grain offering. The priest shall make atonement for him who is to be cleansed before Yahuwah. This is the Torah for one who had an infection of leprosy, who is unable to afford his cleansing. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, when you come into the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, I put a plague of leprosy in the house, in the land of your possession. Focus, okay. Then, verse 35, then shall the one who owns the house come and inform the priest, saying, it seems to me that there is some plague in the house. And the priest shall command, and they shall empty the house before the priest goes in to look at the plague, so that all that is in the house is not made unclean. And after that, the priest goes in to look at the house, and he shall look at the plague and see. If the plague is on the walls of the house, with sunken places, greenish or reddish, which appear to be deep in the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house and shut up the house for 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the 7th day and look and see if the plague has spread on the walls of the house. Then the priest shall command, and they shall remove the stones with the plague in them, and they shall throw them outside the city into the unclean place, while he lets the house be scraped inside all around, and the dust that they scrape off they shall pour out in the unclean place outside the city. And they shall take the other stones and put them in the place of those stones, and take another mortar and plaster the house. And if the plague comes back and breaks out in the house after he has removed the stones, after he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look and see. If the plague has spread in the house, it is active leprosy in the house. It is unclean. Verse 45. And he shall break down the house, its stones, its timber, and all its plaster of the house, and he shall bring them outside the city to the unclean place. And he who goes into the house all the days while it is shut up becomes unclean until evening. And he who lies down in the house has to wash his garments, and he who eats in the house has to wash his garments. However, if the priest indeed comes in and looks at it and sees that the plague has not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And to cleanse the house, he shall take 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop, and he shall slay one of the birds in the earthen vessel over the running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, hyssop, and the scarlet, and the live bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and shall sprinkle the house 7 times. He shall thus cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and the running water, and the live bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop. and with the scarlet. And he shall let the live bird loose outside the city in the open field, and shall make atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the Torah for any infection of the leprosy and eruption, for leprosy of the garment and of the house, and for the swelling, and for the scab, and for the bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the Torah of leprosy.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Leviticus 15. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man hath a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue. Whether his flesh run with his issue, or whether his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue is unclean, and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat that hath the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in the water, and be unclean until the even. And he that toucheth the flesh of him that hath the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if he that hath the issue spit upon him that is clean, then he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And what saddle soever he rideth upon that hath the issue shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth anything that was under him shall be unclean until the evening. And he that beareth any of those things shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And whomsoever he toucheth that hath the issue, and hath not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And the vessel of earth that he toucheth with which hath the issue shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And when he that hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest. And the priest shall offer them, the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord for his issue. And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until the evening. And every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the evening. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, and she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the evening. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And whosoever toucheth anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if it be on her bed, or on anything whereon she sitteth, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean until the evening. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean. And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean. Every bed whereon she lieth, all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation, and whatsoever she sitteth upon, shall be unclean as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles, or 1 or 2 young pigeons, bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for her before the Lord for the issue of her uncleanness. Thus shall you separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that hath an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that hath an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean. Goodness. Okay, so now we're going to move to 2 Kings chapter 7, starting at verse 3. Did you want to take that, Quinn?
You go. I'm not there yet. Sorry. I'll do Mark.
Starting at verse 3 of 2 Kings chapter 7, up through verse 20. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, Why sit we here until we die? If we say, we will enter into the city, then the famine is in this city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we die also. Now therefore come, and let us fall unto the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall but die. And they rose up in the twilight to go unto the camp of the Syrians, and when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, Lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come upon us. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their life. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent, and did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it, and came again, and entered into another tent, and carried thence also, and went and hid it. Then they said one to another, We do not well. This day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. If we tarry till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now, therefore, come, and that we may go and tell the king's household. So they came and called unto the porter of the city, and they told them, saying, We came to the camp of the Syrians, and behold, there was no man there, neither the voice of man, but horses tied and asses tied, and the tents as they were. Excuse me. And he called the porters, and they told it to the king's house within. And the king arose in the night and said unto his servants, I will now show you what the Syrians have done to us, that they know that we be hungry. Therefore are they gone out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, When they come out of the city, we shall catch them alive and get into the city. And one of his servants answered and said, Let some take, I pray thee, 5 of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. Behold, they are as all the multitude of Israel that are left in it. Behold, I say, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. And let us send and see. They took, therefore, 2 chariot horses, and the king sent after the host of the Syrians, saying, Go and see. And they went after them unto Jordan. And lo, all the way was full of garments and vessels, which the Syrians had cast away in their haste. And the messengers returned and told the king, and the people went out and spoiled the tents of the Syrians. So a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. And the king appointed the Lord on whose hand he leaned to have the charge of the gate. And the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died as the man of God had said, and who spake when the king came down to him. And it came to pass, as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel shall be tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. And that Lord answered the man of God and said, Now behold, if the Lord should make windows in heaven, might such a thing be? And he said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And so it fell out unto him, for the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died. You're muted. You're still muted. Okay.
Okay.
You said you were going to read Mark? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I'll read Mark. Yeah.
Was that the claim?
Yes, that's the claim. Mark chapter 1, verse 35 to 45. And having risen very early in the morning, while still dark, he went out and went away to a lonely place, and there he prayed. And Simon, who was, and those, is it Simon? Okay, sorry. Different wording here. And Simon and those who were with him searched for him. And when they found him, they said to him, All are seeking you. And he said to them, Let us go into the neighboring towns, so that I proclaim there also, because for this I have come forth. And he was proclaiming in their congregations in all Galilee and casting out demons. And a leper came to him, calling upon him, kneeling down to him, and saying to him, If you desire, you're able to make me clean. And Yeshua, moved with compassion, stretched out his hand and touched him, and said to him, I desire it, be cleansed. And immediately the leprosy left him, and he was cleansed. And having strictly warned him, he immediately sent him away, and said to him, See, say none at all to anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer for your cleansing what Moses ordered as a witness to them. But he went out and began to publish it so much and to spread the word that Yeshua was no longer able to openly enter the city, but was outside in lonely places, yet they came to him from all directions.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Okay, everybody, we are going to see you on part 2. That will be in your feed, or should be in your feed, as This Week 9 Q&A. Bring your notes and your observations and questions, and we'll have an open discussion on all of that. And we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Love you all. See you there.